Hey everyone, hope you all are doing great. Welcome to our episode today. I am Partharu, Events and Program Manager for Microsoft Reactor India. And yes, I welcome you all for today's session. But before we start our today's event, let's go through our code of conduct. We all are here to learn together, participate together. So please be respectful of other people's views, understanding their differences. Be kind and considerate in a way we all engage. Yes, we do encourage you all to participate. Please drop all your questions in the comment section. Before I bring in our today's speaker, I would like to give a short intro about her. We have Ayushi Jain today, who is very popular for her analytics experience. She has around 4 years of experience in data analytics. She is really dedicated to helping students and professionals to excel all her tools in Power BI, SQL, and Python. And yes, focusing on simplifying complex concepts through practical hands-on learning. Her mission is to make data analytics accessible to everyone, empower everyone, share knowledge with others. And yes, I would not like to wait much more. And now I would like to bring in Ayushi. Hi Ayushi, how are you?
Hello, Parth. I'm good. How are you?
I am great, all good, all well. So exciting topic, and yes, can you tell us much more about it?
Sure. I would love to tell you about the topic. Before that, I would just like to give my small introduction to everyone, guys. That as Parth already told you about me, my name is Ayushi Jain, and I'm a senior data analyst and data analytics mentor at WSQ. I love to teach students, and it's been 4 years since I have been training students with different tools like Excel, Power BI, and other analytical tools like Python. Right. So, in our today's session, we are going to discuss about cleaning and transformation of data, one important aspect of data analytics, right? Uh, when we perform any analysis on data, it's important that the data which we are working on should be clean and pre-processed so that our analysis, our outcomes of the analysis should be accurate. And because of that, we will be learning today Power Query Editor, which is a tool in Power BI which allows us to extract, transform, and load data. So this is the agenda basically today, that we will be learning how we can pre-process and clean our data before it is ready for analysis.
No, sounds so exciting. And yes, Ayushi, the floor is all yours.
Sure. Thank you, Parth. Thanks for the wonderful introduction. Okay. All right, guys. So today we are going to discuss about Power Query Editor in Power BI. As we all know about Power Query Editor, that it's an ETL tool. Let me just show. Let me just write a couple of things about Power Query Editor to give you a little bit more brief on what Power Query Editor is. Okay. Okay. So here we are discussing about Power Query Editor, right? So Power Query Editor, I'll be using a short form over here to describe Power Query Editor. It's an ETL tool, and ETL stands for extract. T over here stands for transform, and L over here stands for load. So Power Query editors allows us to extract data from the source, transform it, and load it. In the analytic cycle, we fetch the data from the data source. So first comes the data source, right? First comes the data source, then we clean and pre-process our data. So we clean and pre-process data. I'm going to write a short form again, that we clean and pre-process the data. After performing cleaning and pre-processing of data, we load it back to Power Query Editor where we can perform the modeling of data. And then we apply some functions along with visualization. So um, with the visuals over here, comes the DAX as well, where you write data analysis expressions in Power BI to perform any kind of functions, or you want to extract any meaningful insights from your data, like year over year growth or moving averages, something like that. For that, we use DAX here. Now we have data source, we have cleaning and pre-preparation of data. Today, majorly, we are going to focus on cleaning and pre-preparation of data. We'll also be talking about data modeling and DAX in our upcoming few sessions. Today, our major focus will be on cleaning and pre-preparation of data. For that, we will be obviously extracting the data from the data source. So this is our today's agenda to work upon the data before it's ready to visualize, before it's ready to model, and before we can apply any further functions on it. So for this, for cleaning and preparation of data, we have Power Query Editor, which is an ETL tool, allows us to extract data from the data source, transform it by performing any different kinds of you know changes in your data. Or for example, we can also say something like that: if you have duplicate data in your data, then how you can remove those duplicates, how you can deal with the missing values, how you can create a couple more new columns based on your extracting existing data, and then directly you can load this data to the Power Query Editor. And this is what we are going to focus on today. And for this, I hope a lot of you already have Power BI downloaded, and if not, you can download Power BI directly from Power BI website. And then today, I'm going to use this data set over here. This data set is uploaded on my GitHub repository. It's about an e-commerce data set. I have attached a zip file here. You can just click on this zip file and download this data set by just clicking on download raw file, and you can just download it simply. After downloading it, you'll have to extract the files from it. So Parth, can you please share the link to this data set? Okay. So the link of the dataset has been provided in your chats, guys. You can go through the link and you can download this dataset right from here. Now, if you have Power BI, you can do it along with me. If you do not have it, you can do it later. Doesn't really matter. But right now, I have Power BI right over here. So this is the first interface of Power BI. That Power BI over here is a business intelligence tool. Okay, business intelligence tools are the ones which allows us to draw meaningful insights out of data. Companies has huge amount of data, and if we want to extract any meaningful insight out of that data, we use such business intelligence tool. Power BI is one of them. Today we are going to use Power BI's Power Query Editor to transform the data. So here I'll start with a blank report. Okay, the first thing that we are going to focus on today is the structure of data. That once you open these files, once you have extracted data from the CSV files, you'll find a folder which contains cities, customers, products, and different years of sales of data. Okay, these are the few things that have been mentioned in the folder. Okay, now first thing is we need to work on the structure of data, so that if a new data is introduced, any in the upcoming years, if a new data is introduced over here, it should also get updated in our Power BI, or at the same time in our Power Query Editor as well. So today the first thing that we are going to focus is on the structure of data. Right now we have four tables, and then we have these three tables which are nothing but sales of 2020, 2021, and sales of 2022. For this structure, see, if I go to Power BI right here, and if I go to click on get data will allow us to connect to different types of data sources. Here we can directly go for Excel workbook as well, or ours is a CSV file, so we can go ahead with the CSV files as well. But what other options do we have? If we click on more, there are furthermore more options that Power BI gives us. Power BI allows us to connect with the several data sources, and all the different types are mentioned over here. Even if you go to the databases, in the databases you'll find several different options that are mentioned over here. Starting from Oracle, IBM to SAP and MySQL, there are many options from where you can connect with. Here, if you go to the file and if you come to the folder section, you'll be able to connect to a direct folder which is available in your local systems. So this is how simply you can extract the data from the folder. So you just need to click on connect. After that, you need to click on browse. On the browse section, I have stored this data in this folder called as Microsoft Reactors Ecom. And if I click on OK and click on OK here as well, all the files which are available in that particular folder will be mentioned over here. You can see here we have cities, customers, product, and sales. Sales 2020, sales 2021, sales 22. Okay. Now, thing is, here's a little mistake that we all make, that what we think about is the present. We are not thinking about the future as well. Why? Because what we'll do as of now, we'll transform the data, we'll join 2019, 20, 21, 22 together, and we'll start working on the data, right? But what we need to also think on is that maybe after some time, 2023 years data will be added over here, 2024's data will be added over here. In that case, Power BI should update all that data, any transformation, any cleaning steps that we have applied over here. Power BI should be able to do it all by itself if we introduce a new data to it. That's what we call the procedure of automation, that we don't have to do the task manually. Power BI can do it for us, but for that we need to first create a good structure where we can structure our data properly. So we'll be first working on the structure of data. So I'm just right now coming to the chat just to see if you guys have any questions. And okay. So no questions as of now. Okay, some couple of questions about skills required in data analyst, but not related to the session as so far. All right, then let's move forward, and first let's structure our data over here. So this structure will not work for a long time, because this structure right now is fine for right now, like the cities, customer, product. But what if the new table, a sales 2023, will be added? We need to append that to our existing data sets. That would not be a correct choice, because we want Power BI to do it by itself, right? So let's first work on the structure of the data set. For this, I'll come back to the folder, and here I'll create two new folders. Okay. This new folder, this one folder which will contain the details about the data set, like let's just call it ecom. Okay, where we will just have these three files. Okay, the three files are cities, customers, and the product. I'm dropping these three files in the ecom. Also, I'm keeping one another folder known as sales. So let's call it sales, where I'm dropping these sales file here. Okay, so sales file, I'm dropping the sales files in the sales folder. Okay, we have 2019, 20, 21, and 22. Okay, and here in the ecom we have cities, customers, and the products table. Now this will help us that when we will have the data of year 2023, we can just directly add it to our folder of sales, and it will just get updated directly. So this is how the structure of data helps us a lot. So first thing over here that you need to think of is the structure of data, that how your data has been structured, so that it just does not work for the present but also for the upcoming data sets that can be introduced to these folders. Let's move forward, and now let's come back over here once again. We'll again click on get data and we'll be using more option. We'll be going ahead with the folder section and we'll click on connect here. Once we click on connect, there's an option to browse the files. We'll go to the desktop. Once we'll go to the desktop over here, and in here we have Microsoft Reactor Ecom, where we'll be choosing the Ecom folder for now. So let's click on OK and let's click on OK once again. And here we have cities, we have customers and the products table. Let's click on transform data. Once we click on transform, you will now say that we only have 3 files as of now. Like we have the cities file, customers, products. What about the other files? Well, we'll be bringing them to over here. First, let's work with these files that we already have in here. So this is how we have extracted data from the data source, that we have just chosen to click on the data source. We have chosen the folder, and with the folder, we can just click on transform. See, when you're transforming data, there were multiple options which we didn't work on. We directly clicked on the transform, which brought us over here to Power Query Editor. Power Query Editor is a tool which comes with Power BI. It's also there in Microsoft's Excel as well, and it's very helpful to extract data, to clean it and to transform it. You can just see the interface right here. Like it allows us to choose or remove the columns, keep the rows, remove the rows, or if you want to perform any transformations or combine the files, if you want to transform any column by converting it to a list, you want to pivot or unpivot them, you want to perform any textual, numerical, or date and time transformations, you have everything right here on your tips. So as of now, because we are working with a data set to understand some different concepts over here, I'll be opening these data sets one by one. Let's start with the cities. Let's see what do we have in the cities table. So I'll right click over here and double tap on it. We'll find that, okay, here we have cities in here. Okay, your first interface might not look like this, so I'll just change the view from distribution to white spaces. So this is how your interface might look like. I have just changed it, just use the column distribution, with whose importance I'll be telling you in a few seconds. Okay, so here we have cities. In the cities, we can see that we have region ID, we have city, we have state, which actually should have been the headers of the given columns, right? So how do we convert them to the headers of the given column? For that, we just need to go on the home page. And here we have an option to use first row as headers. Now, actually, the data is making sense. We have region ID, we have city, we have state. Region IDs are the IDs of different cities that we have in here. We have cities, which is Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata, Hyderabad. And the states are mentioned over there, that which states these cities are from. These are the basic information that has been given in our cities table. If we come back again on ecom and click on binary, make sure you right click over here. If you left click by mistake, you might just convert this ecom folder to the customers table. Don't do that. You can just click cross on the right hand side, which is like the applied steps. Okay, and you can come back to the source once again. You can right click in here, add this as a new query, double tap on it to open the customers table. To write customers, we can just simply write customers in here, and here we have the customers table. And guess what? The same problem, right? That here the first row is basically our headers. The column 1, column 2, column 3 does not make sense. While the customer IDs are the IDs over here, the customer names are the names of the people. The city over here are the different cities that the customer is from. So what I'll do is I'll use first row as headers again in our home tab to convert this into headers. Okay. Coming back to our products table, let's right click, let's tap on it, let's open our products table, let's rename it as the products table. Let's also understand what all data do we have in these 3 files. If we go to the customers table, we have the customer ID, the name of the customer who is ordering from us, the city, the gender, what is the marital status, which phone the person is using, the phone brand is mentioned over here, which seems to be unknown. Okay, we'll be working on that. operating system, whether the person is using iOS or using Android. Guys, do you know that this has a huge amount of impact, like which phone a person is using? And based on that, people target the audience as well. Like, suppose if someone is using an iPhone, which is iPhone 15 Pro, actually, even the Pro models, they would pitch for the higher priced product to those people. While if someone is using Android, that to let's say Xiaomi or Vivo's, in that case they will pitch for a lower price of product. So even in the e-com industry, which phone brand you are using as a customer, it matters a lot. And that's why a lot of companies, they collect the data of customers, where they are also collecting that which phone that person is using, in order to target the different kinds of ads. Like, if someone is using iPhone, they might be getting like products of higher prices. Someone using Android, but in Android they're using Xiaomi or Vivo, they might be getting the suggestions or recommendations of product which are lower in prices comparatively. So even this is a huge factor over here. Okay. So this is our cities, and we have customers data. Upcoming next is our products table, where we have the product ID, the name of the product's been mentioned, the category, the price of the product has been mentioned, and the weight of the product has been mentioned. So these are the few things that has been mentioned over here. This is an Since this is an e-commerce data, we have different kinds of categories that have been mentioned over here. We have products of home furnishing, home decor, yeah, I would say home furnishings only, accessories, home appliances, and electronics as well. So these are the few things. But where is our sales data? That sales data is very important, right? So we need to bring that sales data over here. To bring that sales data, we'll just go to the new source in here. But again, I cannot find the option for the folder. Well, there is more option. We can go to more. And now we are again having another data source over here. This data source is going to be our folder again, which we can connect from here. We can browse it. We can go to our desktop, okay, and find the folder once again. So I have located the folder. This time I'm going to choose sales here. So let's click on OK, and let's click on OK in here too. Okay, so there are three options that has been given to us. One is combine and transform, one is transform data, and third one is cancel. What is combine and transform? This is what I was talking about, guys, that we need to also think about the future as well. That what if the data of 2023 is introduced, or 2024 is introduced, how it should get updated, how any cleaning steps that we are applying on the sales of 2019, 20, 21, 22, these should get updated on that. For that, what we simply need to do is we need to click on combine and transform, which will do what? That any new folder, any new file which will be introduced over here, say of 2023, it will automatically combine here without asking us. It will just combine it over here with these files, and then you can work on it very easily. And it will get updated as well. Any transformation that you have performed on sales 2019's data, 2020's data, 21's or 22's data, it will all be performed in your upcoming files as well of sales. So here, instead of just clicking on transform, we'll click on combine and transform. And here we can see that this is the option that has been given to us. And if we have any file that contains error, we can also click on skip files with errors. Okay, so these are our CSV file. This is the view of our 200 rows on the top. The delimiter is comma. Okay, so these are the few things that has been mentioned over here. Let's click on OK, and let's bring in the sales file as well. So now here we have the sales file too. Sales file contains the source name, that this one comes from the sales 2019, but we also have like the other sales file too. We have 2019, 20, 21 and 22. As I was talking about, all the sales files have been combined to a single sale file. Okay, this can only be performed when you have similar kind of data. What do I mean with the similar kind of data is very simple. That suppose, let's consider a case scenario where I'm talking about, let me just shift it a little bit. So let's consider a case scenario where we have multiple tables. Okay. Here, this one's for sales. This one is for, let's say, orders, maybe. This one's for products. Okay, this is for sales and another sales of different year. Let's say this one is for 19, this is for 20, this is for 2021. We can also consider an example where we have regions data as well. Okay, and I'm replacing this orders over here with our customers. So let's write customer in here. Okay, now that this part is clear, when we want to, combine couple of files together, in that case we use combine and transform data. Now, combine and transform over here means what? That your sales 2019 will contain what? The sales 2019 will contain the maybe the sales ID. Okay, maybe the customer ID who bought the particular product, which region that person is from, the quantity, the date, and the time maybe, right? But the date would be of 2019, right? The date would be of 2019. What will happen in sales 2020? The same thing. There would be a sale ID over here. There would be a customer ID over here. There will also be a region ID. There would also be a quantity. Okay, there will be date and also there will be time. But this time the date will be of 2020 as in year. Again, 2021 will come and the same thing will be repeated, but this time the date will be of 2021. So when you have such kind of data which have resemblance with each other, but only thing that is differing over here is the years, or could be any different thing that comes only with the values, but the columns over here or the number of columns over here remains the same. Okay, the only fluctuation over here is of our values, but the column headers over here remains the same. In that case, we can use combine and transform over here, where we can combine files so that if in the future a new file over here needs to be introduced, say of year 2022 and also 2023 and also 2024, it would be just very easy for us because it will automatically get updated. That's why we are performing combine and transform here. Okay, I hope this concept is clear to you all. And to check for the questions, I'm coming back. Okay. Hi, ma'am. How can we connect to SQL Server with database? How can you connect with SQL Server with database? Not a relevant question with Power BI, but if you want to connect SQL with Power BI, you need to just have the local host over here. You need to just have the the server ID and the password, and that's it. You just have to go to Power BI. You need to choose that what data source you are going to use. Is it going to be MySQL? Is it going to be SQL? Is it going to be Oracle, Postgres, whatever it is going to be? You need to choose that, and you need to choose the server, and you need to give the password. All the databases that are there on that server will be located here, and then you will be able to extract it very easily. Okay. No, Santosh. We don't have to map that new sales file directly. I'll be just showing that I'll be just showing that in the upcoming few minutes, that how if I'll introduce a sales file of 2023 to this data set, how it will automatically get updated. That's why we have first created a good structure that is scalable, and we can keep adding more and more files over here, and would not impact our data, and it will just get updated, and we do not have to repeat the same procedure on that data too. So yeah. Okay. All right. I think those are the only questions. Cool. If I have an Excel workbook exported from MS Forms, and this form has 90 questions, what is the best way to create a visualization of Power BI? Or should I unpivot and map on Power Query? Reported from MS Forms, and this form has 90 questions. Okay? So if you have 90 questions, it would be great if you can unpivot them, then only you can visualize them, because since the question will be in a horizontal format, and you would be needing something that would be more vertical format. So I would recommend, yeah, you should unpivot them. Also, it completely depends on the data as well. So, what kind of data is there in those forms, that will also highly impact, right? Okay. How can I get internship easily? Okay, another not so relevant question. Okay, I'll be answering your these questions towards the end of the session, which are not relevant to our ongoing session. Okay. Which your opinion is use personalized function? Which your opinion about use of the personalized function in Power Query? Personalized function, they are very handy, helpful, and if you know how you can write one good function using mQuery code, then yes, that would be very uh, helpful. I generally, it depends upon data. I do not have a like a go to function, but yeah, generally depends upon data. Yes, correct. Quick attack that we have if we have the sales data for the next year, we can just drop the file in the folder, and it will automatically get uploaded over there. And that's why we have created this structure of data here, so that any new data or any new file will be introduced to that particular folder. It will automatically get updated. We do not have to do anything with Power BI or any transformations again. Okay. I think we are good to go. Let's move forward with the session. Right? Let's come to the part where we are actually going to clean and transform the data. So far, we have been just fetching the data and getting it in the proper source over here, creating a proper structure of the data so that it is easier for us to load and transform it. So right now we have cities, we have customers and products and sales. For sales, I'll also capitalize its name because all of rest of them are capitalized. So yeah, here we have four files. If you do not want to transform this ecom file and do not want to load it back to Power Query Editor, there's an option where you can disable the load so that it does not go back to Power BI. Okay, it will stay here. This ecom file, this will stay here, but it won't go back in there in Power BI. Okay, currently we have cities table over here, we have customers table in here. Okay, we also have products table, which is telling the details about products, and up next we have sales. The first thing that we work is on the structure of data, that we bring it in a proper format. The source name, it is not required over here. This column is unwanted, and I don't think it will make much sense in here for an analysis. So what you can do, you can just right click and remove it. Once you remove it, you will notice that removed columns, this new step has been introduced in the applied steps. Excuse me, guys. So this new step has been applied, added over here in the removed columns, which comes in the category of our applied steps. Just give me a couple of seconds. Apologies, my health is little under the weather today. Okay. So applied steps over here collects the data for us, that whatever we are performing here as a history, it keeps the record of this history, and whenever a new data is introduced, it applies those steps automatically to that data too. Okay. Here we have sales ID, we have product ID, we have region, customer ID. We also have the quantity, that how much quantity a customer has bought. The order's date and time has been mentioned, the ship date and time, the delivery date and time. We can see that there are some null values in our data, the delivery date and time, and our expected delivery date and time, it's null over here. We have shipping cost, we have discount, we have payment method, and also we have the order status. Let's start with working each file one by one. Let's first come to cities and let's try to understand if there is anything wrong with it. Okay, here what we'll do, we'll see the region ID, we'll see the city, we see the state. Now there are approx 58 rows over here that we have right now. It's difficult to identify if we have the duplicate data. If I want to check for the duplicacy, how will I do that? Like, I cannot just go through each one of them carefully and see if the value is repeated. What we can do over here is this view section in our Power Query editor. This view section allows us to view the column quality, the columns distribution, or the profiling of data. For example, if I go to column quality, it tells me that there is valid entries 100%, 0% error, and 0% empty in all these three columns. If I disable this and come to column distribution, this tells us about how many distinct and how many unique values do I have. So since I have 58 distincts and 58 unique values over here, that means my data does not contain duplicates over here. What is the difference between a distinct and a unique value? Let's also understand that too. Okay. To understand this, I'll be giving you another small example. See, I'll be writing names of couple of cities in here. So say we have Jaipur, we have Delhi, we have Agra, and someone is again from Delhi, another one from Jaipur, someone's from Udaipur. Okay. So these are the different cities from where our customers are from. If someone asks me how many distinct cities do I have and how many unique cities do I have? In case of distinct, I would say that I'll count Jaipur only once because it is coming twice over here. I'll only count it once. So Jaipur is once, Delhi it's once, Agra one, Udaipur one. So that means we have four distinct. I missed a N over here. Okay, there's an N in here. So we have four distinct. And how many unique values do we have? See, Agra is only occurring once in our data. So that means it's unique. Jaipur or Delhi might be getting counted as one and distinct, but they are occurring a many number of times here. Same goes for Udaipur as well. That Udaipur over here is occurring once in our data. So total unique values here would be two. Distinct values are four, and unique value over here are two in our data. That's how you will get to know that there are any duplicate data or not. So suppose if there were no Delhi and there were no another Jaipur in here, in that case, my distinct values would have been 4, and also my unique values would have been 4. And that's how I would know that there is no duplicacy in my data. And that's what Power Query Editor tells us when we use this column distribution over here, tells us how many distinct values and how many unique values we have. Since we have equal amount of distinct and equal amount of unique values, this tells us that we do not have any duplicate data in here. Same goes for city and same comes for the state as well. Let's move forward to our customers table, where you will now notice that here we have 623 distinct value and 616 unique values. That means unique values are just 616. This tells us that we have duplicacy in our data. We have duplicate data. So how do we get rid of this duplicate data? For this, what you'll have to do is you need to right click in here, right click on the column, okay, and there's an option to remove duplicates. The removing duplicates will not just remove your this rows of data, this columns row of data. It will remove the entire row where it will find a duplicate entry. Okay, it will not just remove this single one row, but it will remove the single one column of this row, but it will remove the entire row over here. To do that, we'll be clicking on remove duplicates, and now you can see you have 623 unique and 623 distinct values, which is telling us that now there is no more duplicate data in our customers table. We have customers name as well, where we have 120 distinct names. We have cities mentioned in here, okay, that these are the cities where these people are from. We have gender, the marital status, the phone, and the phone brand is also being mentioned over here. Now, the phone and the phone brand, you will now notice that phone brand, it's everywhere unknown. How do we get the phone's name in here? See, the phone brand over here would be what? iPhone it is, right? And this one would be Samsung. Okay, you might say that instead of iPhone, we can keep it Apple. We can do that. That instead of iPhone, we'll keep it Apple. But for the Samsung, it would remain Samsung. For OnePlus, it will remain OnePlus. For Google Pixel, it will remain Google. For Oppo, it will remain Oppo. For Vivo, it will remain the same. So you can now notice that the first word of each phone is actually the brand name of that phone, right? So here, what we can do from the phone over here, we need to extract a new column which can give us the brand of this phone. How do we get the brand of this phone? Can anyone tell me in the chat? How do we get the brand of this phone? Okay, not a people have. Okay, splitting the column is one option. Yes. Get the index, that is also one option. Okay, split column, get index. Split column and add column using leftmost delimiter. Just select the first word from all cells. Yeah, makes sense. The first word is our brand name. So we can either split the column based on our first delimiter, right? Or we can extract the first word from each one. So there are multiple methods to do it. We'll be going ahead with the easier one, that we can go to just phone. And with the phone, do we want to transform this column or do we want to add a new column? We want to add a new column over here. To add a new column, see, the transform also has the same number of functions that the add column has. The transform will transform your existing column, while the add column will create a new column for you. And this is what we want to do. We don't want to split this, but we want to create a new column based on this. For now, we don't need phone brand, so we can just right click on it and we can remove this by just clicking on remove, or you can just click on it and click on delete in your keyboard. That would also work. Like, choice is up to you. You can just go to phone in here, and once you go to phone, you just need to add a new column. And here we want to extract something from our data. Extract the first characters. We don't know the number of characters because Samsung has 7 letters, iPhone has 6 letters, OnePlus has 7 letters. So every brand has different number of letters. So we cannot define the length of the letters. We cannot define the range. But what we can define is text before the delimiter. The delimiter over here is going to be our space, and we want to extract the text before the delimiter. So for this, we'll be using text before delimiter. The delimiter going to be our space, and let's click on OK. And now you'll notice that all these brand names have been extracted in here, that which brand the person is using. And now you can rename this column as a brand name. Okay, if you want to arrange it, you can arrange it in any order. Like after the phone, you want to have the brand name, you can put the brand name, and then you can put the operating system that phone is using. Okay, so this is how we have phone, the brand name, and also the operating system in here. Okay, moving forward, you will also notice that if you do not want to put iPhone in here, and if you want to instead put a brand name as Apple, then in that case you can just go to brand name. This time don't click on add column, because we do not want to create a new column, but we want to make changes in our existing column. So this time we can just go to transform this time and replace the values, replace that iPhone wherever the iPhone is mentioned. Let's just replace it with Apple, and our work is done. Here, wherever the iPhone was mentioned, now we have Apple as the brand name. So here we have the phone, we have the brand name, and we also have the operating system. I hope this part is clear, and I hope the duplicacy part is also clear. When you're dealing with the duplicate data in here, you can just find the duplicate with the views section. You can just go to view and you can find that how many distinct or unique values are there. The distinct does not mean that they are unique. The distincts are the one where if the value is also occurring 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, it will still count it as one. Okay. Unique value is one which is actually occurring only once in your data. So when we have similar number of distinct and similar number of unique values, this is basically telling us that we do not have any duplicate data anymore. Okay. Generally, you check for duplicacies based on such things like customer ID. I wouldn't search for duplicacy based on customer name. Our customer name, two people can have same name, right? You might search on LinkedIn Ayushi Jain and you'll find like thousands of Ayushis there, right? So you cannot, it's not possible that two people cannot have the same name. So we don't go for the names, we don't go for the cities. Obviously, there are two genders, and the marital status here are mentioned as single and married. The phones, two people can have same phone, same brand, same operating system as well. But what two people cannot have in common is the customer ID. So any time that you are looking for a duplicate data, just make sure that that customer ID over here should not be duplicated. Another way of dealing with the duplicates is when you have the phone numbers as well of those people. Suppose what happens if we have C0005 and C0006 as Vihan Patel only, but who is from the same city, same gender, same marital status, same phone number, same brand. Two people can have the same name who comes from the same city, have same gender, have same marital status, have same phones as well, but their phone numbers might will change. So every time there might be something in your data which will allow you to check for duplicates. So if not customer ID, it could be something else with the basis of which you can check for duplicacy in your data. Hope this part is clear to you all. Yeah, deleting column dates from the files as well. No, Rajesh, this would not do remove the columns from the files. What we are doing is extracting the data from the data source, working on it in here in Power Query Editor, and then loading it back to Power BI. The source remain the same. Nothing will change on the source. Any changes that are are happening in Power Query Editor. Okay, no changes are being applied to the source data because sometimes we might have a huge amount of data coming from the databases. If we remove some of the important columns, it will affect the databases as well. Okay, so it's better to not touch the data source. And here, if we are using Power Query Editor, the data that is being extracted, only that will be cleaned, but any changes will not be made in the source file. The source file will remain the same. It will still contain the duplicate data, it will still contain the null values, it will still contain a column which has unknown brand name. So you cannot load it back over there. Okay, what you can do is load it back to Power BI where you have clean and pre-processed data. Okay. uh, yeah, the phone number should also have been there, which is unique, right? So if phone numbers are mentioned in your data, you can check with phone numbers as well if they are unique or not. Okay. Under Power BI, where is the clean data stored? The clean data is stored in your Power Query Editor itself. Like once you have extracted the data from the data source, it's now in Power Query Editor. And once you load it back to Power BI, in the Power BI, it is being loaded. Okay. Uh, what is the storage size of Power Query data? What is the storage size of Power Query data? You can extract as much amount of data as much you want, depends upon the type of Power BI you have. So suppose if you're using Power BI for as a student, right, you won't be using a huge amount of data over here, so the limit will be lesser. But if you're using pro or premium versions where you have the entire company's data, where you have the entire company's data, in that case the size would increase. So depending upon which version of Power BI you're using, the size of data that you can load to Power BI can change. Okay, depending upon the type of Power BI's version you're using. Okay. So we have Power BI desktop, which is free for everyone. We have Power BI Pro, and we also have Power BI premium as well. How we can learn about that for DAX, Ajay will be having another session in a couple of days here on Microsoft Reactor only. So yeah, you can learn there. Okay, that's like computers configuration, Rajesh. Okay, it has nothing to do with Power Query Editor. It will be depending upon your computer's configuration. Okay, let's move forward, guys. So here we have had customers data. We learned that how we can deal with the duplicate values if we have duplicate in our duplicacy in our data. Just make sure that whenever you're checking for duplicate, it should not be based on customer name. Two people can have same name. But the customer IDs, they should be different. And if the customer IDs are different, yet the details are coming same, then you have to check for something that might be, that might should not be the same for two people. For example, the phone numbers. Two people cannot have the same phone numbers. Okay. Here we have the product IDs as well. That which product ID is mentioned, all are distinct and unique. We have distinct and unique, distinct, unique. And here we have the prices. The prices, right now the data type of prices is 1 to 3. Generally you need to also work on these data types as well, because when we load it back to Power BI, we need to make sure that the price over here should be in currency. To make it in currency, we need to use fixed decimal number in here, and we need to replace the current step. That now this will be fixed decimal number. The font is much more readable now, that it is 1,46,085. Okay, so this is how we can get the prices in the proper currency. So make sure wherever you have something like prices or numeric values, just make sure the proper data types are used over here. For the data types, you can just click on this section in here and you can just choose your desired data type. If we go to the sales table, we again have sales ID, where we have 1,000 distinct and 1,000 unique values. Why we have 1,000? Our data is of like multiple files. So you will now notice that at the bottom there says that the column profiling is based on top 1,000 rows. What Power Query does for us is that, because the data can have like millions of rows of data, right? And for profiling the millions of rows of data, it would be difficult for Power Query Editor, because that's a huge amount of data. So instead of profiling the entire data, what it is doing for us is just it is profiling the top 1,000 row. Doesn't matter, it won't affect that. It won't matter that if you're applying any changes, that will be applied on just the 1,000 rows. It will be applied on the entire data. But the profiling that you are seeing over here, the top profiling, the column profiling, okay, the column profiling which we see over here, this will be based on top 1,000 rows only. So suppose if you might have error, okay, in let's say 20,444th row, okay, in that case, how you won't be able to detect it if your column profiling is based on top 1,000. For that, what you need to do is you can change it to, it reduces the performance of Power Query Editor, but again you can do that. Like you can set the profiling based on your entire data set. It will take some time because it needs to load a lot of information. But now if you see the column distribution over here, you can see how long it is taking for it to load, because it's profiling the entire thousands of rows of data. And it's not just thousand, yeah, it is thousands. So we have 73,688 rows of data. Okay. So if we have millions of row, again, the profiling will take a lot of time. So just make sure that your profiling is set on thousands. If you have, a lot of data, but you just want to do it for once to just check the column quality, you can do that by just clicking on over here and setting the column profiling based on entire data. It's just showing you the profiling. Any changes that you're making over here is being performed on the entire data set. It's not just being performed on the 1,000 rows, it is performed on the entire data set, but just the profiling is based on top 1,000 rows. Okay. So here we have sales ID, we have product ID, we have region, we have customers, the quantity, the order date and time, the ship date and time, the delivery date and time, expected delivery date and time, shipping cost, discount, payment method, and order status has been mentioned over here. Now, as we can see that show white spaces and this section over here in our view section, it is showing us a black line in here, which is indicating that there is null data. Okay. So if it shows the green line, that means this is the valid entries. If it shows the black line, it shows the null data. If it shows a little red line, it shows that there is error in your data. Okay, red indicates error, black indicates null, and green indicates that that entry is valid in here. We can see that delivery date and time and delivery date and time has been mentioned null over here. Instead of just selecting the columns and doing something about it, like for dealing with the null values, there are so many things that can be done. Okay, if I discuss them with you, um, if I want to deal with the null values, I can either fill the values, like you can just fill the values. How you can fill the values, there are different methods of filling these values. You can use the forward fill. Okay, we can use the forward fill, the backward fill. What is forward fill and backward fill? Suppose if I have, let's say, a data mentioned over here. Let me just erase this data. Okay, say if I have a couple of things mentioned over here, for example, could be anything. Okay, say I have some cities mentioned or some genders mentioned, like I have male and female, and a null value. Okay, and male again and female. What forward fill will do for me is forward fill will fill this female in the null value. What backward fill will do for me, backward fill will fill this male in this null value. So that means your adjacent data, adjacent row of data will be filled over here. If you are using forward fill, your data which is right above your null value will be filled in your null space. If we have males data, the value which is just below your value will be mentioned over here. We also have other few methods of filling in the null values. Those would be mean, comma, mode, and median. These are also the ways with which we can fill our values. We can do it with forward fill, backward fill, or mean, mode, or median. Okay, these are different ways of filling the values. But before we fill the values, we can see we have delivery date and time mentioned over here. So, what do you think is the better way of filling it? Is there something else which we need to analyze first before we fill the values, or any other ideas that you guys might have? I would like to know your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts, guys? How can I get the file to download? It's mentioned, the link to the dataset is mentioned over here. Parth, can you just share it once again? Okay. Yeah, guys. So the link to the dataset has been mentioned in here, which is uploaded in my GitHub repository. You just need to click on the download raw file. Okay, and it will be just downloaded for you in the format of zip file. Like, let me just show it to you. If you will download it, it will be downloaded like this. It will go to your downloads, and if you open it, it will be a zip file. You'll have to extract all of them. You just need to click on extract, and all the files that are mentioned in here will be extracted, and then you can get started with the structuring and everything, which we have learned in this session. Okay. Uh, okay, one of you has to say that we can keep the median for the null values. Okay, any other ideas that what else we can keep for the null values? A median of date, finding a median of date. Colas, okay. Okay. Median would not be the correct way in here. See, I'll tell you that none of these methods over here are going to work for this particular case scenario. What do we have in empty here is the delivery date and the expected delivery date and time. We have delivery date and time. We have expected delivery date and time, which are null as mentioned in here. Correct. What we need to also understand is the context. Why these are blank in here? Okay. We need to check that why these values are blank. So here, if I scroll towards the right a little bit, you will now notice that here we have cancelled mention in here, cancelled mention in here too. Let me just fetch all the null values. Let's click on OK, and you will now notice that wherever there was null, the order status over here is cancelled. Wherever there was null, the order status over here has been cancelled. That's why the product was not delivered and the expected delivery date and time has not been mentioned. So we'll remove this filtered rows from here. So in this is why the delivery date and time has not been mentioned. In that case, we should not fill these null values because these are null for a reason, and that is the order has been cancelled. Okay, the order has been cancelled in here. That is why these values are null. If you still want to fill these values, okay, if you still want to fill these values, like if you're planning key nahi, I want to fill these values, in that case what you can do is you can find the difference between the average of order date and delivery date. Okay, suppose this was ordered on 8th and was delivered on 14. How many days of difference we have? We have a 6 days of difference. Here it delivered in 4 days, here it was delivered in 6 days, here it was delivered in 9 days. So basically we can see that here we have 4, 6, 8, 9. So we can find the difference between the delivery date and time and order date and time, and we can then fill those values over here in order delivery date and expected delivery date and time, but will not bring any value to us. Okay, it won't bring any value to us because this was supposed to be null as the product was cancelled. So understanding the context of null is also very important. We have null values, we have blank values, they both are different. Null comes when something is not applicable, like a lot of people did not have the middle names, right? So that is not applicable for them. I do not have a middle name, so if I am filling a form and if I'm mentioning blank for the middle name, it is because it is not because I have left it empty. It is not applicable in my case. That's why I have left it empty. Okay. Same thing is over here, that this thing, this expected delivery date and time and delivery date and time, it's null because the order was cancelled. That's why we didn't deliver it to the person, and that's why null is mentioned over here. So these are null values. A blank value is one. See, Power Query Editor will not understand the difference between null and blank, but you need to understand this, that a null is one which is not applicable, while a blank is one which we have left as blank. For example, after ordering from Zomato, if we have not given any rating on Zomato to the delivery guy or to the food, that is something that we have done it on purpose. We are leaving it blank, and it is applicable that we should be, giving the ratings in there, but we choose to leave it empty. So that would be a blank value. Okay, here we have null values because it is cancelled, so it's better not to do anything about it and leave it as null. Obviously it will bring blank values in your dashboard, but that is something that can be handled while working on the dashboard. What you can do is you can just show that how many cancel orders were there, and those blank values will start making sense to you. Okay, there's also option to filter those blank values and show only the data where you do not have any blank values. But as of now, we need to keep this data because we need to also keep the track of the orders that have been cancelled. That's why we won't do anything about these null values. So basically, there's another way of, not this one, but this one. So basically, there's another way of dealing with the null values. One is the forward fill. We have the backward fill. We have mean, mode, and median. And the one more is that we don't have to do anything about the null values. See, the filling of the null values comes when we are going to apply some machine learning models on it. When we are applying any machine learning model on it, the machine algorithms, they cannot create a model or apply a model when there is a null value in your data, so it comes in there. But here we can just go ahead with the blank values because filling them will not make much sense for us. Okay, what is the difference between blank and null? That's what I said. A null is one where the value is not applicable, just like I said, the middle name. In my case, say if you have been given a form where you have to fill details like your first name, your last name, your marital status, okay, and your birth date and your anniversary. So suppose if you're single, you won't be putting your anniversary date in there. Why? Because you are single, so that thing is not applicable for you, right? So that would be a null value. A blank is one which you have which is applicable for you, but you have left it empty. For example, your date of birth. Okay, So you were born someday, it is applicable for you, but you chose not to fill it. That would be a blank value. Okay. All right. Here are a few questions you might ask during the session. Most common occurred date. Okay. Expected date or delivery date or less than expected. Okay. So these are some of the answers that you guys have mentioned. Okay, I'll be taking some of the questions after the sessions as well. Okay, so don't worry if if your questions are not answered yet. Okay, cool. Any numerical column, any value is null at that time, how to? If in a numerical column the value is null, in that case you need to understand that which method will come handy. For that we will be using some statistical methods. This thing comes falls in the category of statistics. If you have any extreme values in your data, for example, say there was an event, okay, or say there is a hotel customers data, okay, or hotels visitors data. Okay, we are keeping the track of hotel visitors in here. First day, 4 people came. Okay, first was the booking of 4 people. Second was the booking of 3 people. Third day there was a booking of 5 people. Now maybe there was a wedding or ceremony, or maybe there was a meeting or something like that, where a company arranged event for their employees. In that case, there was a booking of say 78 people. Okay, there was a booking of 2 people, 3 people, 2 people, 5 people, and then there were some null values as well in your data. In this case, if I'll take the average of this data right now, if I'll take the average of data, it would not make much sense to fill it with the average, because of this outlier means any data which is on the extreme side, either it is extremely negative or extremely towards the positive side of your data, that can that can give a negative impact on filling it with the average value. You cannot fill the data with average this time because you have outliers in your data. Outliers are those cases which will occur in your data once or twice, once in a while, like the sales. Okay, during the entire year the sales are constant, but during any seasons, for example, if there is Great Indian Festival sale, or there is a Freedom sale, Diwali sale, in that time the sales of those particular days are comparatively higher than the other days, and filling the blank data with those sales average would not be a correct choice. In this case we go with the median of data. So this part comes in the statistics, that what you should be filling it with. Okay, and also you need to consult to someone in a senior position. You cannot take these decisions directly, that I'm going to fill it with the median value. You need to first consult with someone, that you are getting the blank values in your data. When you're working in a company, you need to address the team from where this blank data is coming from, who is responsible for fetching the data from wherever the data is coming from. Is it coming from the website, is it coming from the apps? Okay, you need to first connect to them, that why the blank data is coming over here. You need to first fix that. Okay, then what happens with the previous data that has not been filled? We have the blank value. You need to consult to someone, a person who is senior to you, your managers, that what to do about it. You can come up with your solutions, that I am thinking to fill it with the median, because any value that you are going to fill will not be a correct value. Forward fill will not give you the correct value, backward fill will not give you the correct value, mean mode median will not give you the correct value. What can give you the correct value is calling each customer and asking, like, how many of the numbers of products you have bought, or any numeric value which you can call to someone and ask. That would be not feasible if we have millions of data. So in that case, you need to first come up with your solutions. You need to pitch them during the meetings, and then you can come up with what you want to fill this with. Or if you think you can take this decision solely by yourself, do mention them in your reports, that there was this a much percentage of blank values which you have filled with the average value, so there can be inconsistency of your data. Okay, so that is something that could be done. Okay. uh, What is the binary value for null and blank value? It would be 0 and 1 only. Whenever it won't be 0 and 1 as well. It's just null. Zero means to one and sorry, zero means to false and one means true. But null would be nothing. It would not be zero nor be one. It's just blank. How to change the null values into some values? To change null values, you need to impute them with something. You need to put mean, mode, median, or you need to use forward fill or backward fill, or you need to first understand the context of the null values. You can use statistical methods to fill them, or you can, if you're working in a company, you can consult to someone that how you should fill them. How to replace values using if statement? That's a good question. How to replace values using if statement is that either you can use this conditional column in here, that if the value is null, then fill it with this. Otherwise, you can also use a custom column for this. That, for example, say I'm giving you just an example in here, that if delivery I'll start with the if statement. Okay, I'll start with the if, that if expected delivery is equal to null, then I wanna fill it with hello. Although it will not make sense over here, okay, because hello should not be mentioned in here. It should be something related to date and time, and it will throw an error for me because we are mentioning hello in here. But yeah, this is how you can do it, that if this is null, is equal to null, then this, else what you want to fill it with, that would be your else condition. Okay, for example, if expected delivery is null, then I will say that there is a blank. Okay, um, else not blank. So if you just click on OK, it will create one custom column for you. Wherever there is null, it will write blank. Wherever there is a date written, it will say not blank. And if in that case, you can also, if you can go to settings, you can just also replace it with something like if it is not blank, in that case we'll just select the column. The column will be expected delivery date and time only. So if I click on OK, you will now notice that wherever there was null, it has been replaced with the blank. If it is not null, it is just the same date that has been mentioned for expected delivery date and time. So you can replace it with whatever value you want. As of now, I have written blank, but you can replace it with whatever value you want. Make sure whatever value you're replacing it with is also aligning with the data type that has been mentioned over here. The data type of this particular column is date and time. So whatever you are writing over here should also be date and time. Otherwise, it will, once you convert it to, date and time, it will give you error over here. As I showed you, the red line is for error. Okay. So don't do this, but I'm just showing you as an example that how you can create a custom column. Okay. Okay. Can we do joins on two table? And custom and conditional columns, we can use replace values function. Yes, you can definitely use replace values function as well. And difference between custom and conditional columns, the difference between custom is that with custom you can just create more than conditional columns. With the M query, you can just search for Power BI M query formulas. Okay, like Power BI M query functions actually. And with Power BI's learn itself, you'll find the reference for all the functions. You can see that there are functions related to text functions, like you want to convert text to something, text before delimiter, after delimiter, text contains something, text ends with something. Okay, you can see text after delimiter, before delimiter, between delimiters. So there are many functions that are there in mQuery. So with custom column, you can do a lot of transformations. Okay, and with the conditional column, you can just give conditions and create a new column. So that would be the difference here. Okay, and can we get the data for practice? It's mentioned in the video itself. Okay. There was one more question from Rajesh. Can you do joins on two tables? Definitely we can. Coming to that part only next. Okay. Let's come to that part only. So here we are choosing not to do anything with our Without this data, where we have null values, now comes the part that in sales, this is the sales table. Later with the sales table, what I would like to also do is I want to see the total number of sales. The sales has not been mentioned. The quantity is mentioned, but the price of the product is not mentioned anywhere here. The shipping cost is mentioned, how much percentage. Okay, this should be percentage, so we need to convert it to percentage. Okay. Looks like not in a decimal format. So wait a second. We need to first divide it by 100 and then convert it to percentage. So I'll just go to transform, go to standard and divide this column with 100. So now we have the discount in decimals and then we can convert it to percentage. Okay, so these are the percentage of discount that has been given to a person on this particular product. Okay, moving forward, we also have we need prices as well over here, because tomorrow if I want to calculate the sales, I won't be calculating the total sum of this price which is mentioned in product. This is not something that the product people have bought. This is like the products table which contains the prices of the product, but the prices should have been in the sales table, and that's where our merge queries will come in handy. That here there are two options that have been given to us. One is merge queries, the second one is append queries. When you want to join two table horizontally, okay, like this is your first table, you want to join it horizontally, you use merge queries for that. That I want to create another new column over here which should be of the price of the product. But when you want to join the two tables vertically, like one on top of each other, that would be your append queries, which we exactly did with the combined files as well. Okay, so here in this case scenario, we'll be using merge queries. Merge queries will merge both of our files together. In order to use merge queries, you just need to click on merge queries. That in the sales table, we want to join another table that would be a products table. What is common between this product table and this product table? That would be a product ID in here and the product ID in here. What we can see is the total amount of join that we can apply. So as of now, you can see the selection is only matching 73,688 and to total number of selection, that is 72,729. That means there are products that means there are products, because of our left join we are getting some of the products that people have bought, but their details are not being mentioned in the product ID. Or there could be also products where uh, those have not been bought yet. Okay, so you can go for different kind of joins that are there. We have left join, where you will have all the data from your sales table but only the matching data from your products table. We have also right outer join, which we won't be using in here. We have full join, where we'll get all the data, doesn't matter it is null or not. We have inner join as well, where we will only be getting the matching rows. So total matching rows over here would be 72,729 from the first table. Okay, so these will be the matching rows. If you want the matching rows, you can just get the matching rows. But if you want that, no, I want the entire data from our first table. Okay, for example, if I go for the left join, I want the entire data from my first table, and whatever matches from our products table, I want that. In that case, you can just go for left join. You can click on OK, and it will bring all the products tables data in here. But do we want all of them? This is not the right practice to get all the data in one single file. We just simply need one column. You can see that our products table contains what, around 700 or 600 products maybe at most, right? Our sales table contains 73,000 rows of data. Creating 73 rows of data in 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 columns, that would be creating a large amount of data which is not required. So we just need price over here. That's why only bring price. Do not bring all the columns, just bring the price. Okay, if you want to use the original column name as prefix, you can. If you do not want to, you can just keep it price and click on OK. And the prices will be extracted in here. We'll find some null values. This null values is where we have the product name, but the price has not been mentioned. Okay, like let's check that why we are having some null values in here. Let's click on null. Let's click on OK. and we have some null values for some specific product code. That would be P23, 36, 29. Okay, so these are between 26 to 39, I would say. Let's just check. Okay, starts with 28 and goes up to 40. So we do not have the prices available with us of products 28 to 40. Who you need to go to is the team which is getting this data for us, that why this data is not being updated. Okay, so if you're working in a company, first you need to address to those people that why this data has not been updated. Second, you need to get the correct data from them and fill it by yourself in the data sources. If they do not have the solution to this, you can fill these data by yourself. And a third solution would be filling it with the null, or filling it with the mean mode or median to get the actual prices in here. So again, depends upon the context of your null values, that why these values are null. You need to first understand, are we not delivering these anymore? Okay, that's why it's not there in the product table, or why it is not being fetched in the product table. You need to connect with the concern team based on that. And the third solution would be, if you're filling it, consult to someone and fill it with the average of your data, or you can also fill it with the mean of your data. Since it is prices, I would suggest not to use mean mode median in a real life case scenario, because that will bring inconsistency of your data and your accounts will not match with the price, with the actual amount that is being displayed over here. So try to find the reason to fix these null values in here. And once they are fixed, then only you can, show this data. So again, something that you should consult to someone in the real case scenario. As of now, you can go for the method of forward fill, backward fill, or the best method in this case scenario over here would be filling it with the median of data. How to get the median? To get the medium, you can just click on the transform and get the stats in here. Go for median. You'll find that the median of price will be 25,079, and then you can fill these null values with 25,079. That would be an average case that would be an ideal case scenario for our sample data. But in a real company, you'll need to find the context of the null values and then fill those values. Okay, hope this part is clear. Okay, I can see that nobody is asking any question. Guys, do you have any doubts? Both the merge and append will frame the same table structure, right, ma'am? The merge, yeah, it will merge. What will do? It will join two tables horizontally together. Like if this is your table one, it will join it horizontally together. And if you're talking about append, they will join it vertically together. For append, they should be of same type, like transactions of first year and transaction of second year, sales of first year, sales of second year, orders of first year, orders of second year. That would be your merge, right? That will be your append. And merge would be when you are joining the customers table with the orders table, the customers table with the sales table, the regions table with the sales table, something like that. That would be your merge. Okay, so after we are done with this, like after you think that your data is ready set to go, you can just click on close and apply. Although still there are few many things that you can get out of this data. For example, to find meaningful insights, we can check that on which particular month people are ordering the most. Like if I go to order date and time, I can add a new column based on date, and that would be based on our month. If we go to the month over here, we'll have month in here. Go to month and just click on view and go to column profile. It will show you that most of the orders are coming in the fourth month, that is the April month. Okay, so most of our sales is happening in April. But what is the amount of that sales that is happening? That is something that you will find after the analysis. Okay, similarly, if you'll go to again the order date and time, right click, not right click, go to add column. You can just go to date section in here. You can also extract the name of the day. And this time again, if we go to day name, you'll find that most of the orders are being made on Wednesdays and Tuesdays. Okay, least orders are being made on Monday. You can also check for time as well, that which time people are ordering the most. Like if you'll go to date and time or just time, you can just get the hours in here. And if you get the hour and click on this, you'll see that most of the people are ordering 12 in the noon. Remember that this is 24-hour format, so 12 is in the noon. Most of the people are ordering in the 12 in the noon. Next is 11. So a lot of people are ordering around 11 and 12. Also 2 in the night. Okay, a lot of people are awake in 2 in the night. Okay. So these are some custom columns or let's say some transformed columns that you can create from your existing data depending upon what kind of analysis you need to do. But this is where how you prepare your data for cleaning and pre-processing. Uh, for analysis, this is how you clean and pre-process your data before analysis, that you just go and make sure that they have the correct data type. You make sure that they do not have any duplicacy in here, and you need to make sure that if you have any inconsistency of data, if you have incorrect data, you need to find the reason of those incorrect data. You need to fix that as well, just like how we fix the brand name. For the products, we didn't do much but change the currency in here to dollars, and then when you load it back to Power BI, you can convert it to Indian rupees as well. And for the sales, you can do it here too. Okay, if you'll go to the section of currency, there is an option where you can, using locale, you can change the currency. And this time it would be a fixed decimal number, which is of English India only. Okay, it's mentioned English India only. So okay, you can go back to Power BI and then load it to and convert this currency into rupees. Okay, and lastly, we learned how we can use merge queries to merge this data. Once we are done, okay, once we are done, I would just like to go to home, click on close and apply. Let's wait for a couple of seconds for this data to load. Okay, sales had one error. We need to fix that error. Let's go to that error. Let's click on view errors. Okay, the error is somewhere in discount. Let's try to understand the error over here. Detected type matches source. Let's come back to source. Okay, let's come to sales, and if we go to discount, it is saying that discount contains the error. Let's click on load more, and it says that there is an error. Let's go back to where we fetched the data. So it was expended in here, okay, before the change type happened. So if I go to discount and click on load more, okay. So see, as I told you that Power BI, it only Power Query Editor, it only does the column profiling based on 1,000 rows. So there was this one error that at instead of zero, zero was mentioned. Okay, and because of that, when we converted it to percentage, it could not get converted. So before it changing the type by itself, what you need to do is you need to just go to discount. Okay, since we only have this one error in here, we can go to replace values. We'll be inserting a new step in here, that your zero will be replaced with the zero. Let's click on OK. And once we are done, we can go back to home and we can just click on close and apply. This time there won't be any error. Yeah, so there is no error this time. And right now what I'll just do is I'll bring this one in here. Okay, we have sales where we have of we also have like the price needs to be multiplied with the quantity, and also the shipping charges need to be added, and also the discount needs to be removed from there. So this discount, as in if it's 20% discount, we need to find 20% of that and need to remove that. But before we do that, I'm just dropping price in here just to see the total price as of now. The total price that we are getting right now is 2.95 billion. Okay. And if I create a slicer, not from this one, but just directly from here, if I create a slicer and, maybe drop the, okay, we have not extracted the ears in here from the sales. Let's quickly extract the ears. So you can just go back to Power Query Editor and do it. I'm going to do it simply with one of the DAX functions. Okay, that I'm introducing a new column which will fetch nothing but the order year. Okay, so order year will be equal to year from our order date and time. Okay, so here we'll have an order year. Let's try to drop this order year. Where do we have it? Okay, here we have it. Let's drop this order here in here that we have 2022, 2019 to 2022. Okay. So this is how our data looks like. We have 2.95 billion in the sum of price. It is not the revenue, it is just the sum of price. And these are the years that have been mentioned. Okay, let me come back in here where we had the sales data. Okay, and I'll just go to my desktop. In the desktop, I have the sales of 2023 as well. I kept it somewhere here. Let me try to find it. Sales 2023. Okay, it is CSV CR download. It's not in a CSV format. Okay. Right now, this file is not in the proper format. What I can show you is, as of now, because the file is in CSV and then CR download format. So I'll just do one thing that I'll go over here from the sales. I'll just remove this one column, one data and paste it in here. That is sales of 2022. That means I have removed one data from here. If I come back, go to home and refresh this data, you can refresh it there too. Okay, choice is up to you, however you want to refresh it. You will now notice that the sales has reduced, the price has reduced to 2.2 billion, and we have sales of 2019 to 2021. And if you know this new data of sales 2022, I'll control X this, come back to our folder over here of sales and paste it in here. I do not have to do much. You just have to go to Power BI and you just need to click on refresh in here. It will refresh your sales file, and you will now notice that the price over here is 2.95 and the years are of 2020 till 2022. So basically, if you have a new file of 2023 or 24 which you will introduce to this folder, it will get updated automatically. All the cleaning, all the transformations which we have learned and applied, those will be applied to that file too. That's why structuring is important, cleaning and pre-processing is important, and then loading it back to here is important. So this was all about this session, and I hope you guys enjoyed learning this session. Yeah. Okay. I have a couple of questions which I can say. Hi, Parth.
Hi, Ayushi. Final call that you all can drop all your questions. And yes, meanwhile, we have few questions that Ayushi will take it up now. Right.
Sure. Okay. Um, is a pen rows in same column? Yes, a pen will add the rows in the same column. Like if you have four columns, which is of product ID, product name, product category, and the product weight, it will add more and more values to that too. Okay. Can we do merge if column number of first file is not equal to column 2? Can we do column number of first file? I cannot understand the context of your question. See, merge can only be possible when you have common columns between two tables. Okay, if you have two tables and you have a common column between them, then the merge is easily possible. If you want to see the data in different time zones, can we do that in Power BI? See the data in different time zones. Well, you cannot see the data in different time zones. What you can do is you can change the locale settings and change it to different date formats and time formats for different zones of data, or your data should be coming from that particular zone. And also in your Power BI settings, there's an option for regions. You can select the region, and based on that, the formatting will change. Can you show in Power BI where is your clean data stored? The clean data is stored in Power BI itself. I'll just present it once again. Okay. So you can see this is Power BI's file, this file, which I have not named it yet. And this is storing my entire data. Okay. This is Power BI's file, which is storing my entire data. We have cities, customers, products, and sales. If you go to cities, here we have cities, we have customers, we have products, and we also have sales. The data has also been modeled automatically. You will now notice that there's a modeling that has been done. Power BI does it itself for us. So with Power BI, you have this option where it detects the common column between the tables and creates a model for you, so that you can you can fetch the multiple columns from different tables. So yeah, we have table view where our data is visible in here and it's stored in this particular file. Okay. Need a class in data modeling? Soon we'll be doing that, Vera. Okay, our upcoming sessions are based on modeling and DAX only. Okay. What is the default storage limit of Power BI for the desktop version? For the desktop version, I think it is limited to some amount of GBs. I'm not exactly sure with the number. You can just Google it out. Okay. So for desktop version, it is limited to some amount of GB. It's 5 GB or something. You can just Google it. Okay. Okay. Any more doubts that you have related to the session? The dataset which I have worked on has been shared with this video. So you can check out the dataset, and if you want to work along, you can work along with the video on it. Okay. If two tables are being appended and one table has additional column like 19 columns and 20 rows, should be added only to matching columns. It's a null as the null if they are. And well, you'll have to still create the columns over there, okay, where you can put the blank values. So if like one of your table, let's say, contains the phone number of the customers as well, and one does not contains the phone number, you'll still have to create one blank column for that. Okay. Can I increase CPU and memory in Power BI? For Power BI, see, the Power BI comes with the different types of storage, depends upon different types of storage, depends upon, let's say, which kind of version of Power BI you're using. It could be the Pro version, it could be desktop version, it could be premium, and depending upon that, you can mention it. Okay. Okay. How to show 20 visuals in 5 seconds? 20 visuals in 5 seconds. That is not something that is like possible. You cannot just show 20 visuals in 5 seconds. um, you can create a dashboard which can keep changing, but 20 visual in 5 seconds is not something that is possible. In sequence of column in two different tables need to be same sequence to be able to append. Yes, the sequence needs to be the same. Okay. I got this one of the interview. See, how to shoot 20 visuals in 5 seconds would not be something that is possible just like that. Okay, sorry. Showing 20 visuals in 5 seconds would not be just possible like that. It's if it's about creating, it takes a longer. Showing is nothing but you can just create a dashboard and show it for 5 seconds. But creating definitely will take more time than 5 seconds in any of the tool, whether it's Power BI or anywhere. Creating 20 different visuals can take time. If we want to show the data in different time zones, can we do it in Power BI? Yes, we can do it. For that, your data should have different time zones. Okay. The data that you're fetching, Power BI will not create the different time zones for you. Your data should be coming from different time zones. And then you can just show it however you want. What Power BI can give you the option is to format it based on any particular type of format you want. Like we Indians, we use DDMMYY. In US they use MMDDYY. So you can format your data, you can parse your data with those formats. But for receiving that kind of data of different time zones, your data should be coming in that way. Definitely writing a formula will take more than 5 seconds. Okay. I think we are done with the questions so far.
Yes.
Yes,
So let's call for a wrap.
yes. I
Yes.
hope everyone enjoyed the session.
It was an amazing session. We have so many questions, and it was really an interactive one too. Thank you, Ayushi, for doing this. Thank you once again, and thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Parth, for providing the platform. Thank you.